My head's in a spin all through Mutou's class. I'm going to have dinner with Emmy, who wants to be my girlfriend, no less. A date. And then she kissed me. That kiss, I keep going back to it, playing it over in my mind again and again. Everything about that moment felt so right. My mind drifts off, lost in thoughts of Emmy. Nakai? Hello? It seems like I've drifted a bit too far. Huh? What? Mutou continues. Egad! You've contracted some kind of amnesia. Someone get the nurse. The class chuckles at Mutou's antics. Sorry, sir, I embarrassingly stammer. Won't happen again and all that, right? Exactly. Mutou brightens considerably. Well, lovely to hear. I'd hate to have my star pupil slacking off after all. I've been doing well, but I hardly qualify as a star pupil, I think. I'm fairly certain that this class is the sort that everyone does well in. It's just memorizing formulas. True to my word, I managed to pay attention for the rest of the class. At the end of class, Mutou approaches my desk. Nakai, may I have a word with you? Oh, I wonder if I'm in trouble for earlier. Sure. Am I in trouble? Mutou looks genuinely confused for a moment. Beg your pardon, he asks. He tilts his head to one side and thinks for a moment. Oh, that! No, you're not in any sort of trouble. There's just a question I want to ask you. Well, what's that? Nothing terrible. I was just wondering what your plans for after graduation are. Are you going to university? I answer him, yeah, I guess. I can't really see a reason not to go. Given any thought to what you'll study? Not really, no. I figure I'll come up with something when I get there. Mutou laughs. Taking things as they come, eh? I'd argue against it, but that's how I did things when I went to university. Well, not really. I knew I'd go into a science, I just wasn't sure which one. Ended up with physics, but could just as well have gone for astronomy or what have you. Actually, I did go for chemistry first, but there were all sorts of things. Mutou trails off and frowns slightly. It takes a minute for him to recover his train of thought, and I wait patiently for him to continue. So, anyway, I did a lot of physics as well because I had an interest in that, but I wasn't sure if it was for me. So I went back to chemistry, and here we are, yes? He smiles at me enthusiastically, as if waiting for me to confirm that yes, here is where we are. Somehow I get the feeling that Mutou had a plan for this conversation, but I'll be damned if I can figure it out. I'm sorry, I say, I'm not following you. Mutou frowns and rubs his chin a bit, looking perplexed. He then snaps his fingers as if he remembered what the point of all this was. Right, yes, you. Me? I ask. Yes, you should look into studying one of the sciences. You're fantastic at it. Unless you'd rather just go into math. Mutou makes a sour face. Not a big fan of straight math. I always like the experiments more than the proofs. I think about this. You're saying I should study science at university? Mutou seems thrown off balance by my question. Well, sort of, he says. You could also join the science club. Trouble is, there's not actually a science club, but there could be. You could even be a charter member. A founding father. Of course, you need to find other members. Well, only if you wanted to. We could just start it up with the two of us. And, I could give you things to read and we could talk about them. And I could help you get ready for university and such as well. Wait! Mutou rummages around in his briefcase and tosses me a book. Read that, he says. If it's interesting, then we can talk about it. A Brief History of Time. I don't know if I actually want to read this, but Mutou seems pretty excited about it. What's it about, I ask. Time, space, space-time, black holes and such. And it's not that dense, just to see if it's the sort of thing interesting for you, you understand. Hang around after class and we can either discuss it or I can show you how to make explosives in the lab. He waves a hand at my quizzical expression. Joking, sorry. Still, I've kept you here long enough for now. Think about science as a career path, Nakai. I think you'd enjoy it. Okay, I will. Thank you for the book, I say. I leave the classroom and look up at the clock, quite a chunk of time to kill until Emmy's out of practice. Guess I'll give this book a look. I should probably shower as well. Showering before a date's only proper, right? I head back to the dorms. I wonder where I'm supposed to meet Emmy anyway. She said after practice, but she didn't say where I should find her. I guess I can just swing by the track. That's probably best anyway. If she needs a shower, I can just wait for her in her room or something. Or in the hallway, I guess. That would be better as well. I take a quick shower, remembering to take my medication once I hop out. Now, for a look at this book. I wake with a start. Shit! What time is it? A glance at the clock reveals that I've been asleep for nearly an hour. Oh, thank goodness. Emmy's practice should be finishing up soon. I throw on some casual clothes and head for the track. Somehow I get the feeling we won't be doing anything fancy for dinner. Emmy doesn't strike me as a very fancy sort of person. Still, I suppose there's a lot I have yet to know about Emmy. Despite our newfound closeness, I still feel like I don't know her as well as I should. Ah, well, I have lots of time to fix that. To be honest, I'm looking forward to getting to know her more. I'm so caught up in my own thoughts that I hardly registered that I'm already at the track. Emmy is nowhere to be found. I don't even see any signs of the track team. This could be embarrassing. I head to turn toward the girls' dormitory when I hear a shout. Hey, Hisao! I turn around to see Emmy making a beeline for me with a gym bag slung over her shoulder. She's changed in some decidedly more casual clothing, a pair of shorts and an olive green top. Her running blades have been replaced by more realistic-looking legs that probably wouldn't fool anyone. Emmy doesn't seem to care about that, a fact that makes me smile. Hey, you came, she said. I mean, I figured you would, but still. I suddenly find myself wrapped in a rather affectionate hug, and it proves to be impossible for me to keep what must be the world's largest grin off of my face. Well, of course I came, I say. I'd be crazy not to, right? Emmy ponders for a moment. You know, that's true, she says. I mean, I'm pretty amazing after all. I shrug in response. I certainly think so. It's an offhand remark, which is why I'm surprised to see that it seems to have caught Emmy by surprise. She blushes and smiles warmly at me before planting a kiss on my lips. Now it's my turn to be surprised. Emmy steps back, resting her weight on her back heel, looking pleased with herself. My brain fumbles for an appropriate response. I should compliment you more often, I say. Emmy laughs and gives me a playful shove. Jerk. I throw an arm around Emmy's shoulders and am pleased when she immediately leans into me as if it were the most natural thing in the world. So where to? I ask. I'm not actually sure, she says. Where do people go on dates around here anyway? That's a damn good question. I've got no idea, I say. Why don't we just head down to the Aura Mart and grab something portable? Emmy's face brightens at this idea. A picnic, she says. I think you're onto something, Hasao. Emmy snakes her arm around my waist and we begin to head for the front gate. I'm entirely unsure of what I'm meant to do in this situation, but at least Emmy seems to be equally clueless. Despite the relaxing feeling of being with Emmy, I still can't help feeling a little tense. What if I do something wrong? I'd hate to make an ass out of myself. The trip to the Aura Mart is accompanied by Emmy's chatter about how practice went. I keep quiet for the most part, merely enjoying the warmth of being around Emmy. We get a few odd looks from passerby, but I don't mind. We wind up buying some bread and instant noodles, realizing too late that we cannot actually cook the latter in the park. Oh well, Emmy says. I'll make it for lunch or something. That'll work, I say. The park is located after a brief loss of direction that I blame entirely on Emmy. She, of course, blames me. We find a spot beneath a tree and sit down. I lean back against the trunk. Emmy sits across from me. I guess we should have brought a blanket or something to sit on, huh? I say. Emmy shrugs. I don't mind. Neither do I say. Emmy tosses me a package of bread and we dig in. Curry bread. Interesting. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to what I grabbed in the store. Hey, Hasao, she says, you look like your bread's a little spicy. I shake my head, trying in vain to keep an image of manliness. Nah, it's hardly spicy at all, I say. I see. That must be why your face has gotten so red. Yes, exactly. The lack of spice has gotten my blood up. Because of the disappointment, I say. Emmy laughs and swallows the last of her bread. Well, if you can't handle it, I'll be glad to take it off your hands, she says. Hey, just because you wolf down yours so quickly doesn't mean I'm just going to give you mine. Emmy mock pouts, causing me to nearly choke on my bread with laughter. Aw, come on, Hasao. Aren't you supposed to be concerned with making sure I've got enough to eat now? We're dating, you know. Though, Emmy looks troubled all of a sudden. I can't say I feel any different, she says. What do you mean by that, I say. What makes this a date, she asks. It's just what we would have done anyway, really. But this should feel different because before when we had lunch we were friends, and now we're a level above friends. You sound like Ren, I say. Laughter escapes and Emmy grins. Well, she might have put the thought into my mind, Emmy explains. We've talked about this sort of thing before. Really, I say? About me? Not really, Emmy says. Just stuff, really. Ren thinks that the change of a label from friend to girlfriend seems arbitrary most of the time. Like there's no difference between the two. I can think of at least one, you know, I say. You don't tend to kiss your friends quite as much. For the second time today, Emmy blushes slightly and giggles. I suppose you're right, she says. Exactly. I'm always right about things like this. Emmy rolls her eyes and chuckles. Guess you're pretty smart, huh? I nod in agreement. Yep. Even Mutou thinks so. He thinks I should go into some scientific study after graduation. Emmy raises an eyebrow. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm thinking I actually might do just that. Really, the more I consider the idea, the more it appeals to me. I make a mental note to look into it a little more closely. I ask Emmy, so what are you thinking of doing after graduation? Still planning on running? Emmy shrugs, almost seems a bit hesitant. I don't know, she says. If I'm good enough and I can find a team, I guess. You mean you aren't sure? I haven't really thought about it, to be honest, she says. Really? You probably should, you know. Graduation isn't that far off. Emmy fidgets a little nervously. Yeah, well, it's far enough, right? Besides, I've got other things to think about. There's a mischievous flash behind Emmy's eyes, and I suddenly find myself gloriously pinned against the tree. Like making sure this is a real date, right? She says. I mean, if we don't kiss, then it's not a date at all, right? I suppose. Strawberries and curry. Not the best combination, but I don't think I mind. Emmy sits back on my legs and grins again. There, science would approve, right? I have the oddest mental image of Mutou nodding seriously and making a mark on some checklist. I can't help laughing at the idea. Emmy says, well, I'll admit this is the first time I've ever witnessed a kiss being met with laughter. Should I feel offended? No, I say. I'm sure science approves. Emmy beams at me, and I find it increasingly difficult to keep my brain functioning properly. Oh, good, she says. It is at this point I notice that Emmy has stolen the remainder of my curry bread while I was otherwise occupied with images of teachers wielding clipboards. Hey, I say. Emmy tries to look innocent, but considering she's just crammed the last bits of my bread into her mouth, it does not appear to be working. Sorry, couldn't through this. Thief, I say. A shrug from my companion is all I get in response. You used your feminine wiles on me. I wasn't that hungry anyway, but I still feel that the point needs to be made. Emmy seems confused by the phrase feminine wiles, but the understanding dawns on her features after a moment's thought. Wasn't anything of the sort, she says. You were laughing. Feminine wiles don't involve laughing. I guess I can't argue with this. That doesn't change your thievery, I say. Emmy laughs at my injured tone and gives me a playful shrug. Fine, you can have the instant noodles. Are you kidding, I say? That stuff's terrible. If anything, you should definitely eat it as punishment. Another laugh from the girl sitting on my legs, both of which have fallen asleep by now. I twitch one leg to try waking it up, which has the unintended effect of unbalancing Emmy, who falls to the side with a startled eep. Whoops, I say, sorry about that. Legs fell asleep on me. Emmy remains on the ground, giggling. I stand up a little shakily, feeling the nerves in my legs return to normal. My eyes wander over the scenery before fixing on the figure of Emmy, who has yet to get up. Her hair is splayed out around her head, her arms are spread, and laughter is bubbling up through her mouth. Everything about Emmy seems condensed into this one image. Her energy, her spirit, her childish giggling. The urge to lay down on the grass with her rises swiftly from the back of my mind to the forefront of my thoughts, and indeed I am convinced that I would love nothing more than to do just that. Unfortunately, the sun is set, and it's probably time for us to get back to the dormitories. While Emmy may be happy to stay out here all night, I don't think I have that ability. Besides, homework soon beckons. It wouldn't make sense to start thinking about things like university and then slack off, would it? I extend a hand to Emmy to help her up. We should probably get going, I say. Emmy makes a sour face. You're right. She grabs my proffered hand, and I pull her to her feet and into a hug. This time I'm the one who kisses her, unable to resist having Emmy against me. Seems a shame to leave, you know, I say. Yeah, it does, she agrees. But if we don't get back to the school soon, we'll probably get into trouble. Emmy pokes me in the ribs playfully. And you need to do your homework, I'm sure. Sadly, I say, you're absolutely right. I throw my arm around her shoulders and we make the trek back to the school, accompanied by occasional bouts of laughter as our conversation jumps from subject to subject. Everything from running to school to the peculiar way that one of the cafeteria workers smells. All too soon, we find ourselves outside of the girls' dormitory building. Well, I guess I'll be going then, Emmy says. I guess so, huh? Emmy grins at me again with that mischievous look. Are you going to be able to survive without me? I laugh. I'm sure I'll manage. How terrible! Aren't you supposed to say something like, I'll be counting the seconds you're away? Nah, I say, I don't think so. Emmy pulls me down into a quick goodbye kiss and steps back, looking unexpectedly shy. Thanks for dinner, she says. I really had fun. Honestly, I did. So did I say. I think we shall have to do it again sometime. Emmy laughs at my deadpan delivery and nods. See you bright and early tomorrow morning, right? You've got to run off that bread after all. Of course, I say, despite the fact that you ate most of it. Yes, despite that, she says. See you later, Hisao. As Emmy turns to head inside, I notice something weird. Something so weird that I'm surprised I didn't notice it earlier. She's limping slightly, favoring the left leg. Hey, Emmy, I say. Is your leg okay? Emmy looks confused, or at least fakes confusion. What are you talking about, she says. Your right leg, you're limping. There's the briefest flash of concern on Emmy's face. Either she didn't want me to know, or she didn't think I'd notice, or I prefer to think she just didn't realize it. Oh, that, she says. She shrugs casually. Must have gotten knocked a little out of alignment during the picnic. No idea what could have caused that, of course. I think back to being pinned under the tree. Ah, you should have told me. We could have stopped and fixed it, you know. Emmy waves a hand airily. Nah, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it, okay, Hisao? It's fine. Why do I get the feeling that she's convincing herself as well as me? Are you absolutely sure, I say? You don't want to go ahead and adjust it before heading up the stairs. You could get hurt if you don't, right? I said it was fine, Hisao. Seriously, don't worry about it. I've got some experience in these matters, after all. Yeah, I suppose so, I say. Emmy grins reassuringly. Honestly, Hisao, I appreciate the concern, but I really am okay. Now really, I need to get going. Your attempts to keep me around are doomed to fail. Of course, I say. Just prolonging the goodbye, I suppose. Another grin lights up Emmy's face. Good night, Hisao. Good night. As she limps inside, I find myself hoping she's okay, despite her assurances that she's fine. I think I can call this a successful first date. Hell, any day that ends with Emmy pinning me under a tree to kiss me can't be bad, can it? I head back to my room, mentally thank the gods that Kenji doesn't ambush me in the hallway, and get started on my homework. And so the Yamaku Science Club is founded, with currently just me being the only member, or Hisao being the only member, and Mutou being the staff advisor. I've got to say, at first, when I was first reading through it, it came across as being a little bit lecherous, perhaps. I was wondering what his intentions were, but no, he's just thinks of me as his star pupil and seriously wants Hisao to excel and to be prepared for college and to go into the sciences if at all possible and kind of follow along in Mutou's footsteps. I have to say, I kind of share a brotherhood with Mutou here. Can feel for his experience when the fact that when I was at university, I went through 6 majors before I finally settled into one as well. Then we have our first date with Amy and go through a discussion of just what consists of dating and just what makes it difference between a friend and a girlfriend. And I got to say, the concepts of coming from Ren sound very Ren-like. So, but we get that over with. We come back to the dorms, and then we find that Amy is limping, and confront her with it. But she basically tells us nicely to mind our own business, that she knows what she's doing. Once again, refusing to allow us to show any concern for her, which is becoming a bit of a trend with her, and one that we will probably see more of in the future. I got to say, as far as my research allows me to find out, the dialogue choice just changes a couple of lines of the conversation in the next couple of pages there. It doesn't do anything as far as concerns about the plot. So I believe you're safe to choose either one of the two branches there.